Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reservations. We're your hosts. I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Jeremy Blair.
So, Jeremy, how was your trip? You went out of town
I did yesterday. It was just a day trip. Yeah, I just went to Lubbock, saw Dad. His wife's birthday is today, so happy birthday, Dee. But I saw her, obviously. I got her a couple records for her birthday.
Nice.
And then I saw some buddies. So
Vinyl's always a good present.
Yeah. She is. She started playing vinyls in her office at work.
Nice.
And people have been really digging that in the office.
I mean, if I could do that, I would 100% do that, but I can't do that at my job.
Bummer.
Because...
Well, can you play jams, like, over the loudspeaker or something at the store?
Yeah, but it's already preset.
What?
So, yeah.
You can't choose the music?
No. If I would, I would. And before we get into the episode, I know we've mentioned it on the podcast that you and I are both fans of a lot of different types of music. I just want to talk about this just real quick.
Here we go.
If anyone hasn't already, you should definitely check out Father John Misty. Have you heard any of this stuff?
Yeah, I looked him up when you texted, and it's not my type of music, but
I listened to all 4 of his albums back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
I dig it. It's weird. It's original. It's like folk combined with psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
And I think, this is a cop-out because this is one of his highest rated albums, but I think everyone should listen to I Love You, Honey Bear.
Okay.
I think that's, I wouldn't say his best album. I think Pure Comedy is his best album.
Wow. Hot take.
But I don't know. I dug it. And of course, that's not his real name, by the way.
Oh, it's not?
He said on the Late Night with Seth Meyers a couple of years ago that when he had a little cameo appearance in Hotel Artemis, Seth was like, "Oh, are you credited as Father John Misty?" And he was like, "What kind of egomaniac would I be if I made everyone call me that?" Because... Yeah.
It is sort of it's quite a stage name.
Yeah. When I told Mom about him, she was like, "So is he like a Christian or something?" I'm like, oh.
That's what my buddy Kale always says. It's a joke that he likes to do that I love, where, like, let's say, "Hey man, have you heard of you heard of Disturbed?" He goes, "I haven't. Are they Christian?" And so he'll always tack on the, "Are they Christian?"
Well, this time she was being serious because, with someone of the name of Father John Misty, you would think that it's maybe gospel music. But, he works in some gospel and Pure Comedy. But anyway, just, we give a lot of film recommendations. Just wanted to give a quick little music recommendation. I Love You, Honey Bear. It's great.
I haven't heard of it. Is it Christian?
Anyways, so if you listen to our episode last week, good episode, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it went pretty well.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We're technically gonna be discussing 2 movies.
In a way, yeah.
In a way. Let's lead with the older one.
Really?
A Trip to the Moon.
You want to lead with that one?
I want to lead with that one because I think because that's how I did it when I did my rewatch. I watched A Trip to the Moon first, and then watched our episode today, Hugo.
Oh, by the way, we're not superimposing anymore.
No, now it's
yeah.
We're not going to do this often, but look,
whoa, look at that, that's nuts.
We're such children.
Well, it's very exciting. My arm's not going to disappear if I touch the table.
We can kind of sometimes maybe put our drinks over here now.
I don't want to, but I like that there's an option to do that. But
yeah, because before, actually, we could have gotten away with it the last time since.
Oh, that's a really good
you couldn't
point.
have seen it.
Yeah, we could have put our drinks there. I don't know why we never did that. But as I may have mentioned this before, but when I showed Dad the
one of the episodes,
the YouTube, I was like, we've started superimposing the posters on there. He goes, "Well, I wouldn't call it super."
Just imposing the poster there?
Right on, because he's exactly right. It looked awful. But this will be much better.
Yes.
However, I'm not going to be able to go look at this image on the. I can't because I can't see it. It's green. So.
Well, they don't know that it's green.
Oh, you do now. It's green. The movie magic, guys.
Yeah. Now we can't wear the shade of green anymore.
That's fine. I don't really have any green shirts like that. So,
No.
and St. Patrick's Day is already gone. So,
Yeah. So we're good.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it.
But anyway, because that's how I did my rewatch, and it made Hugo make not more sense seeing A Trip to the Moon first, but I kind of understood more having seen the full movie. Of course, the movie is only 15 minutes long.
Not even.
Yeah. And then watching a historical fiction through the lens of a child. Mm-hmm. So it just, I mean, if you don't want to lead with A Trip to the Moon, we can always circle back.
No, it's fine. We can talk about Trip to the Moon.
So Trip to the Moon, 1902, by I know how to pronounce his name, but is it just George or George?
I would say George.
George Méliès.
Yeah, George Méliès.
And they seem to pronounce the S.
Because I think I thought about that because I would say Méliès for a long time, but it's not. There's no T at the end, which is the traditional French for it's the silent T for like ballet, buffet, and things like that.
Gotcha.
Those are the only two examples I know. I don't even know what buffet is French.
I mean, croissant is
Croissant.
French. Anyway, we apologize to any of our French audience out there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Our one French listener.
Do we?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay.
So Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
You being the film history buff, how many movies had he done before this?
Before, I mean, it's tough to say because there was a lot lost, right?
Right.
Once he had to stop making movies. But if we want to, make just a general average, it was over 500 from 1896 to 1913, I think.
So he was Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But of course, during this time, movies didn't take that long to...
I mean, not necessarily. His did. Before this, with like Lumiere and Edison's team, these guys were just documenting...
real life.
Right. It was documentary style before that word existed. And so like the train arrival, right?
Right.
Which is mentioned in Hugo. I do have a little bit of a problem with saying point blank that people were scared in the theater because I've also been told by instructors and professors that that's not true. So I don't know what to believe. Just making a blanket statement that they were afraid they were going to get hit by a train is kind of ridiculous because it's hard to explain, but I would like to think that yes, it's this brand new technology that no one's seen before, but I think their brains will understand that train's not actually coming at me. You know what I mean? Number one, it's in black and white. Number two, I just saw them set up the projector. So,
right. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? But I've been told that wasn't necessarily true. It's a fun little. It's part of the lure of new cinema. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so George was hot, Fast and Furious.
Dude, I mean, he made so many. A Trip to the Moon is one of the longest ones. Usually they're about 3 minutes long.
Really?
Yeah, they're not that long.
Well, and again, that goes back to my whole, during this time of movie making, there was no big time in between production.
No, I mean, all you have to do is...
once you're done, it's edited, cool, let's make another one.
Yeah, and you kind of saw a sort of snapshot in the movie of what that editing process looked like, right? And so, I mean, it didn't take that long, right?
Right.
I think the hardest part would be concept and execution with the set, right? That would take the longest because all of it was hand-painted, handcrafted, all of it is, built and then had to be taken down, right?
And then especially with George's films, they were all the frames were hand painted. To have it in color.
Right. So when people say when was color introduced into film, technically always.
Right.
It's just now we have more sophisticated ways of doing it.
Right. Color cameras didn't start recording color.
Right. Until much later. But
right.
But having color in film is, not new.
Right.
As soon as people realized what they could do with this camera, they were like, hey, we can add color to it. Right.
Yeah.
For more fun.
Yeah. And so this film, A Trip to the Moon, this was the first time I'd ever seen it.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. For a silent film with no dialogue cards, I understood what the film, like what was happening in the film.
Yeah.
This group of scientists want to go to the moon, so they build a rocket to shoot to the moon, or more like a cannon, I should say.
Yeah.
They built a cannon to shoot a small team up to the moon, and then they encounter moon men.
Yeah.
Because they're not really Martians.
Right.
And then they come back to Earth, and that's it.
Ta-da! That's the plot.
Yeah.
But I think what sets it apart is the design of how it looks, and it's the thing about Méliès' stuff is while others were doing documentary style, just documenting everyday life with these cameras, he was more interested in telling stories. And where we've had storytelling before up until this point, he was more focused on fantasy, sci-fi, horror, right? Fairy tales, right? Bringing these to life.
Right.
Very theatrical type stuff, which makes sense because he was a magician. And so theatricality was kind of in his blood.
And it almost seemed he was destined to become a filmmaker because of being a magician. He knows how to fool people.
Yeah.
With illusions and tricks.
And not only that, but it takes dedication and it takes a different wiring in the brain to be able to understand both how it's done and how it looks. Right. So as soon as he realized that in a film that he made, there was a hiccup, meaning there was a jump, he goes, oh, wait a minute. If the camera jumps like that, it's almost like, something disappeared and something reappeared, right? And so then he started fiddling with, he built his own cameras and he would, then he started realizing not only can I make something disappear and reappear, but I can also double expose. I can also, join to, and I think they show it in Hugo where he's throwing his head up in the music scales.
Yes.
That's incredible. You know, the fact that he realized not only can I just throw my head up there, but I can do it more than once while keeping my own on the ground.
Right.
Which is incredible. I mean, it takes real creativity for that.
Oh yeah. And the fact that he knew how he could edit this all back in the 1900s is also a feat in and of itself because, films, the kind of the golden era of Hollywood didn't have those kind of editing tricks and things like that. And that was well into filmmaking. Like people knew like, okay, this is how we shoot a film. Right. This is, and the fact that he was doing that pretty much on his own is a testament to itself.
It lends, so this type of editing style or the type of creativity in the editing it doesn't really lend itself to stories that were being told in the 40s and 50s, right? Chaplin used some stuff with his films. I know so did Buster Keaton, so did Harold Lloyd, who we see in the film in Safety Last, where he's hanging from the clock.
Yeah.
So the silent film era, especially with comedies, they would use some of those tricks, right? Afterwards, once we get into talkies and once we get into different types of films being made, it's sort of,
Yeah.
out the window.
Yeah, and so the other reason why I wanted us to talk about this one is because this film especially plays a very integral plot point in Hugo.
Yeah.
It's almost like this film is a character of itself. We have Hugo, we have Isabel, we have George himself, and then it's almost like a trip to the moon. Oh, and I almost forgot the automaton, but a trip to the moon is also a character because it almost comes up everywhere throughout the entire movie.
Right.
So I guess with that, we'll transition into Hugo. Based on a book, The Invention of Hugo Cabret is the book. I might put a picture up of it.
Okay, great.
Maybe.
Look, a picture.
I'm kind of, before we really get into the movie, I'm kind of glad that Martin didn't give it that full title. I feel like Hugo is just very to the point of...
Yeah, I guess.
But, so, before we really get into everything, when was the first time you saw this movie?
It was probably when it came out, because I don't think I saw it in the theater, but definitely I saw it when it came out on DVD or whatever, because I saw Scorsese's name on it. That was pretty much all it was.
I remember when this film was announced, and I was like, that seems kind of like a really strange kids movie.
Yeah.
And of course, this was during that whole era of 3D overload.
Yes, this was in however, even James Cameron says this is the best 3D that he's ever seen. I did not see it in 3D, so I don't know.
Yeah, neither have I. So I wouldn't know either. And then I remember hearing it's from Martin Scorsese, and I was like,
is it?
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, is this film PG-13 secretly? Or, oh, no, it's PG. Okay.
Was De Niro in it?
Is he killing someone?
Yeah.
So I had the suspension of disbelief that, there's no way Martin Scorsese did a kids movie. Mm-hmm. No way. And then, so I didn't see this movie until a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Back in October of last year is when I finally kind of sat down and watched it. And I just loved it.
Yeah.
So much. It was funny. It was dramatic.
It's an adventure.
Yeah.
Right? And by the way, hey, Baz Luhrmann, this is what CGI looks like. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. That opening shot of
it's amazing.
The clock melding into the city of Paris. It said it took them months
and even
to render
just the opening, flowing tracking shots, where it catches up with Hugo as he's running through the station and through the clock gears and workings. That's what CGI looks like. And
shout out to our Greg Gatsby episode.
No, not shout out. So upset because this movie came out before that.
Baz Luhrmann's gonna have a comment on the video how dare you?
That'd be cool. And you know what? How dare I? How dare you, man? Yeah. Anyway, so the first time that Scorsese has ever used straight digital across the board. So this is digital filmmaking from start to finish, which I really didn't like when other filmmakers would sort of put down digital filmmaking. Uh-huh. There's a great documentary called Side by Side, and it's about the move to digital filmmaking versus cellular.
Film.
Right. And it's hosted by Keanu Reeves, and he goes and he talks to a lot of people.
Love that guy.
And so there are people out there that just, don't, will refuse to work with it. One of those is Tarantino. Tarantino refuses.
Yeah, and Nolan too. All of Nolan's films have been celluloid.
So, and they're just like, that's not movie making. I go, but have you seen these?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Right? And I feel like it, it takes a director one time using it to be like, okay.
Yeah, maybe. Because, as soon as, we talked at length about how much we love David Fincher, and as soon as he made that switch, he's never
gone back. See, I feel like some directors will do that. They won't go back, or they'll go back and forth. Spielberg does that. War Horse was his first entirely. We're gonna get back to Hugo. Hang on.
Yeah, because we're not going to stay on Warhorse for much longer. I promise you.
But it was his first entire digital film, and he's kind of like. Then I think he did it again with Ready Player One, but okay. I know he's kind of gone back and forth.
Yeah, I just never liked I get tradition, but also, I mean,
digital allows you to.
Filmmaking isn't. The act of making films shouldn't really be traditional, not necessarily.
Sorry, everyone. Yeah,
that's what makes it filmmaking, right?
Oh yeah, and and even though I love films that have been filmed on celluloid, it's with digital filmmaking, it allows you to not necessarily do more, but you have a little bit more freedom because it's not going to be a hard fix, like adding in visual effects and things like that.
Anyway, that was just to say that I love the visual style of Hugo.
Oh, yeah. The visual style of Hugo is amazing, especially Martin's use of miniatures, almost sort of stop motion at one point. There was
that stop motion with the mouse.
The wind-up mouse. And then the miniature of Hugo's Nightmare of the Train crashing through the... Like, that was a miniature.
Yeah.
Very obvious miniature, but I was like, I still love it.
I think that's sort of a nod to, Méliès, because Méliès would use stop motion in some of his stuff. And it's just he would do anything he could to tell a story, right?
Right.
So he would use these I would say multi-medium, but I mean, it would, he's using all these different techniques in one movie. Right. And I think that was what Scorsese was trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, I want to say during the season 4 series, season 4 was our Martin Scorsese marathon.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that, not at length, but a good majority of that. And as we mentioned last week, no one but Martin could have done this movie.
No. Because I've heard people talk about Scorsese in interviews and things like that, and they're like, no one knows more about film history than he does.
Right.
And I love getting to see him have the opportunity to tell Méliès' story, right, and to be able to visualize that story in his own way with the flashback sequence, right?
Yeah.
And getting to build that stage and the greenhouse looking thing, and getting to revisit some of these things that he has probably seen a million times, and like getting to see what it would look like behind the scenes of some of that stuff.
Right. Yeah, and I think what makes this movie work is not only do you have a director that is so passionate about its subject matter, but the story is technically being told through the lens of this little boy who doesn't really know who this guy is and gets wrapped up in this mystery and uncovers. I mean,
the reveal is phenomenal. So I was trying to explain this, the plot to someone yesterday. And I intentionally left the reveal to the end, right?
Right.
I just said he's a grumpy old guy who works at the train station.
Well, and that's, what it starts off is...
Right. He's just this very sad, grumpy guy who works at the toy store, right?
Yeah.
And that's who he is until that automaton draws that picture.
Yeah,
right?
the poster of A Trip to the Moon.
And then once they go to the library, and I forget this actor's name. He's so good. Because he's in everything.
I looked it up because I wanted to be able to say it.
Yeah.
And
well, there it goes. So he's in everything.
Yeah.
At least in the past few years, he was in
Boardwalk Empire.
Right, which is probably why he was in this one.
He was in Men in Black 3. In my opinion, he was the highlight of that movie.
I saw it once. But he's been in. He was in A Serious Man. He was, I believe, in The Shape of Water as well. He was in. I mean, from the past, I don't know, at least 5 years, he's been in. I don't know, like 100 movies. I don't know.
I want to say his last name is like Stahlberg.
I don't know why we're trying so hard.
Yeah, Jeremy's got his phone right next to him. And you know what? Now with the added addition of this green screen, we could probably just have a picture of him.
What?
But
we're really pushing the envelope here, man.
I know. God. This is a very meta episode.
Yeah.
The magic of making movies.
That's right. It is the magic of making movies. You're exactly right.
But yes, no, I love that guy. I love him so much. I think he's a phenomenal actor.
Michael Stahlberg.
See, I knew Stahlberg. I remember Stahlberg, but I kept second guessing myself on his first name. But no, yeah, love him so much. Even for his brief time in the film,
he's almost playing Scorsese, right?
Yeah.
Someone who is just so giddy about film history and filmmaking, and he's almost living vicariously through this fictional character of getting to meet one of his heroes.
Right. Yeah, because I actually had to look it up for the episode, the character he's playing, if he was a real, actual French film historian, and no, he's not. He was either a character in the book or a character made for the movie.
And that's like me making a movie where someone gets to meet Charlie Chaplin, right? And I would get to live vicariously through that character.
I could definitely see that because how the character, because I remember the character's name, Rene Tabard, I think is how you pronounce it. But anyway, Rene is the character's first name, and he almost kind of handles himself kind of like Martin Scorsese a little bit, and how he talks about how George is a passion of his, and one of his first playbills, and look at this, yeah, and a guy. So now you say it, it makes more sense that it's almost like a young Scorsese getting to meet someone he's wanted to meet forever
and never got the chance to.
Right. Yeah, and the film, speaking of cast members, the film is full of these amazing actors and actresses.
Oh, in little bitty parts. Fans of Harry Potter will recognize quite a few people.
Yeah, at least 3.
Yeah.
Uncle Vernon plays a man called Monsieur Frick, who doesn't have a lot of lines. I think the most he speaks is like towards the end of the movie.
It reminds me a lot of a little bit of Hunchback and a little bit of Beauty and the Beast. So when Hugo is looking out at the sea of people in the train station, it's almost like when Quasi's looking at the streets of Paris.
Shout out to our conversation with the 5-year-old bonus video.
Audio only.
We apologize. The video file got corrupted, but you can still listen. Now I can put a little thing up there.
Oh.
Click that to listen. But anyway, yeah, where he's...
And then we go through a lot of the town. It might also be Paris. And in Beauty and the Beast when Belle is
Paris.
Right. Okay. Okay, so I guess it definitely is like that because...
I had to have that like spelled out for me a few years ago because I had never known that Beauty and the Beast took place in Paris, and then someone was like, the opening song starts with them saying bonjour. I'm like, do you think
that doesn't mean it has to be Paris, France? It could be anywhere.
Do you think 8-year-old Rain knew that was France? No. That's anyway, yeah, so it would be exactly like both of those movies.
Okay, so it's exactly like that, except just in a very confined train station.
Right. Yeah, and then the other Harry Potter character we have is Madame Maxine. I actually don't know her character's name in this. And then we get Narcissa Malfoy as... oh, God. Oh, she's George Méliès' wife.
Oh, my God. I forgot she was... I like Boardwalk... not Boardwalk Empire, I'm sorry. I like... Peaky Blinders a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
And she's the matriarch in British Boardwalk Empire, which is Peaky Blinders. But anyway, that's how I recognized her.
Yeah. So at least 3 Harry Potter actors and actresses.
We got your guy,
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen, yeah.
I wondered if he'd actually grown that mustache for the movie.
That'd be cool. He probably could have.
Yeah, I bet he could. I mean... I bet he grew those mutton chops for Trial of Chicago 7.
That's right.
We got Emily Mortimer, and
I love Emily Mortimer.
Very little role, but she again, much like with Michael Stahlberg, she kills it.
Yeah, and Emily Mortimer had just done Shutter Island with Scorsese.
So she was probably like, just give me some little small, please.
Yeah, and Ben Kingsley as well was in that. Also.
Yeah. And then we got Christopher Lee, R.I.P.
Christopher Lee, man.
I read that him and Martin had been friends for years, and when Martin, but they'd never done anything. And then when Martin was like, "Hey, like, would you like to work on this project I'm doing?" He's like, "Yeah, it's about time."
And
you called me.
He was the only actor, and this happened also in Lord of the Rings, where he was the only actor alive while some of the main characters were alive. So, because he was alive when Méliès was still alive. And in Tolkien, he had actually met Tolkien when he was a kid.
No shit.
Yeah, so...
we will do the Lord of the Rings, everyone. Get ready for that.
Yeah, the 8-day...
8-day long, non-stopping... we're going to keep recording all three.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
So Christopher Lee is... I guess what I'm saying is he was 1,000 years old
and
when he
died.
He's a
fucking legend.
He is a legend, you know.
R.I.P. He will be missed. Sure. And then we got Asa Butterfield.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the other stuff I've seen him in. I know he's on that show you like.
Sex Education.
Yeah.
He was in that awful, also with Ben Kingsley, awful version, he was in another adaptation. There we go.
Okay.
Another book adaptation. He was in that awful adaptation of Ender's Game.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I refused.
Okay.
The book is phenomenal, and just from the first trailer, I was like, this looks so wrong. I'm not watching it. Asa...
And Chloe Grace Moretz is really good.
And this was a year after she had done Kick-Ass.
Oh, okay.
So I guess her agents was like, we need you to do something where you're not calling people cunts.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw that at the drive-in when it came out. Shout out to us being friends forever.
Yeah.
So we... I'm trying to remember because she also was in Let Me In, which I don't care for because I love the original so much of Let the Right One In.
Right.
Yeah,
you've told me that numerous times.
Oh, okay, well, it's great. So yeah. But anyway, so I mean, we got all these phenomenal
actors and actresses. Right? Yeah. Oh, and we forgot the most important one, Sir Ben Kingsley. I love him just as much as I love Michael Stahlberg. Ben Kingsley is the man. Even with their fake out reveal in Iron Man 3, he was still amazing.
He was a lot of fun in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, as this bumbling, drug addicted actor. Yeah. He was amazing. And Ben, don't die anytime soon, please.
Oh, great. Cool. I guess we're doing that.
Please stay alive for 1,000 years.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, Martin couldn't have picked a better cast.
And it should be said for now that I have not read the book.
Neither have I.
And so I don't know if these similar themes are in there, but let's get right into just the story itself.
I'm just gonna do a quick oops, I forgot this early.
Oh, that's early.
Jude Law is also in the movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jude Law said it for like 2 seconds.
Anyway, okay, so
I want to talk about just the story itself because so Hugo's purpose, or at least his personal purpose, is to fix this automaton.
Yes.
Right? That it's one of the only things he still has connecting him to his father.
Jude Law.
And
who dies literally like 4 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, he's in the movie for like 2 minutes. And
I think he's literally credited as father.
Yeah. And
that's it.
I think it was supposed to be a reveal, I think, that it was Jude Law, because I don't even think he was in the trailers or anything like that. But so he's trying to fix this automaton, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting that we're trying to put something back together. Mm-hmm. Because really, we're also doing that for George Méliès. We're trying to piece him back together. We're trying to reignite his self-worth, which we talk a lot about self-worth in our Birdman episode.
Shout out to our Birdman episode.
And so with this one, he's sort of lost, his his spark, right? And I think this sort of this rediscovery and this newfound appreciation for who he is number one a non-existent thing that happens in history, in real history. So this is sort of a
well, the book is considered a historical fiction,
right? So this is sort of a an apology and a rightful appreciation or a rightful respect for this man who deserves that and much, much more.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
And so I really enjoyed the fact that that's what everybody's doing. Everybody's trying to put something back together.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Hugo is, as you said, he's trying to fix the automaton because it's the only thing he has connected to his father, while simultaneously, not knowing it, fixing it for George.
Yeah.
We have Sacha Baron Cohen, who is trying to regain some of his humanity from the war because he's got a limp and he's got a brace and he
keeps getting it caught on things.
Yeah. And he doesn't feel his value anymore. Just to sum it up, because I'm not going to go through every character. You said it perfectly, that everyone most of our characters in the film are trying to rediscover their self-worth.
Yeah, and I really also like that the automaton is this sort of engineering feat, right? This really unique piece of machinery, which reflects what Georges did with filmmaking, right?
Right.
As well. Like he would, like we said about the editing styles, he would try and, his narrative styles and his building his own cameras, right? I mean, it's not on accident, right? That all of these things are in this story.
Right.
I don't know how the book is, but I would like to think that it's probably exactly the same.
I want to say so. Like
is it a picture book, by the way? Do we know that?
No.
Okay. It's like a book.
It's a book. It's like a young adult book.
Got it.
Because I listened to a little sample on Audible last night because the ending made me think that they were directly reading from the book, with Chloe's inner monologue. Got it. So I was like, is that how the book starts? And no. Or at least I don't know because I just listened to a sample. So.
Got it.
But anyway, I would hope that you know what, like we were kind of talking about off camera and off mic. I would assume with how much respect that Martin had for the source material, that I would assume he tried to keep it very faithful and very, Yeah. Because as we kind of talked about before, or at least I hope we have, or I'm just going to look like a dunce, every adaptation has to have some kind of, they have to change certain things.
Yes. There are some, though, that get criticized for doing it perfectly. I've seen that before.
Really?
Yeah, where it's an absolute perfect adaptation of the book. People still complain. So everyone's always going to complain.
Yeah, no one's ever going to be happy. But anyway, so like I said, I would assume that Martin probably, kept it very faithful, kept the same themes in the film, and stuff like that. But, it's... we're getting this view of the world, and it's something that I like. We're getting this view of the world from this little boy. Like, we're seeing the world through his eyes, which, we mainly see the inner workings of the train station. And, Hugo makes a really good point where he talks about how, like, everything has its purpose. So I can't be a spare part. I have to have some sort of purpose. And it's, I don't know, it's sad that he's probably 11-year-old boy thinks that, but,
and
very wise.
Well, and of course it mirrors exactly what George Méliès is going through. Right. he's lost his purpose, and therefore he's, this quote spare part.
Right. Just kind of. It's hard to describe where George is, the film, like emotionally. He right off the bat, because the film opens with it, he immediately doesn't like Hugo. He wants Hugo to stay away from him.
Yeah. Because he's, stealing parts.
Yes, that too. Right. But, it's...
Well, and you kind of get it, because it's not like, this is the only thing he has left, and it's being ruined. Right, by this kid who has no idea who he is, and even if he did, it wouldn't matter. Right. Because even he doesn't like when we get that reveal when they get the box and it falls and all of these...
all his drawings.
Right, all the concept art, all of the stills and the, scripts and whatever. And he's petrified that someone's found it. Right. Mm-hmm. It might also be because he doesn't want people to feel bad for him. Right.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't want pity.
Right.
Which kind of goes into, as Hugo and Isabel learn who he really is, they have no pity. They want him to see how loved that he is, and how, like when they try to get Professor Renee to like, do you want to meet him? Yeah. Like, because they know, or at least Isabel knows that, like, okay, if you're saying all this wonderful things about him, if you were to meet him, I bet that would make his day. And then we get that reveal, like, oh, well, I actually already have met him. And it would be like, no, you've already given that example. Never mind. I was gonna say it would be like, if we were to meet one of our heroes, but you gave that example that Martin is essentially, through the character of Professor Renee, he's using this character to help our main protagonist re-spark George's purpose. And it's really good. Like, every part about it's good. It's something I should point out. This doesn't really pertain anything to plot or anything like that, but the film doesn't feel like a kid's movie.
No.
Which I appreciate. Yeah. Like most kids movies or family-friendly movies feel like a kid family movie.
This movie doesn't talk down to anybody.
Yeah.
That's that's sort of the crowning achievement.
Looking at you, Soul.
Yes, Soul. Oh my God.
No, that movie's awesome.
Yeah, the movie's great.
But no, yeah, nowhere in the dialogue do they try to kid it up for you.
Yeah, no one's pandering to anybody.
Yeah, even with a lot of the subplots of, like, with Sacha Baron Cohen trying to admit his feelings to Emily Mortimer, it doesn't feel forced. Of course, there is that whole joke that I didn't catch the first time watching the movie, of when he's talking to the police inspector. He's like, well, are you sure it's yours? When's the last time you had relations? It's like, oh wow, we went for it in a kids movie.
That's funny.
But I think it's because kids probably wouldn't have figured it out.
And again, I think it's due to Scorsese being Scorsese, right? I mean, he doesn't know how to make a movie that talks down to anybody.
Right.
Right. And so, I mean,
he's not going to spoon feed kids. Like, no. You're going to either get it or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if not, then this movie's not for you right now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And, and shockingly, I had to look it up because I read that it was nominated for 11 Academy Awards. And it lost Best Picture to The Artist.
Oh, The Artist.
A French.
Has anybody even seen that movie in the past, however many years it's been?
Let's see. So
10 years almost?
Yeah, almost 10 years, because it won in the 2012 Academy
I remember
Awards.
When that movie came out. Small tangent about The Artist. I liked the idea of it. I thought it was really neat. It's a cool concept.
A silent film in the modern era.
Yeah, it was a cool concept. Of course, it's about a silent film, blah, 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 all that stuff. But its respect has only gone down. If someone mentions the artist, like, ugh.
Really?
Yeah, and that's interesting. That happens to a lot of Best Picture winners, by the way.
Except for Birdman.
Well, there's also lots of other examples, but another great example is the movie Crash. So that also its respect and its sort of prestigious stature has gone way down.
Oh, okay. I was like, what do you...
Way down since it won Best Picture. I mean, so I think, people just get swept up in its ideas and its execution, and
and then afterwards
its staying power never lasts. The Artist being a good example, and Crash being a good example.
Well, and also Parasite. Parasite will never... Parasite's
Parasite's
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but yeah, just that... I forgot the point I was making.
Oh, okay.
Hang on, give me a second. Anyway, to sum up this segment, nothing feels forced, nothing feels too kidified, and
Kidified.
I'm going to trademark that, kidify.
Cool.
Kids bop it. And I think we unintentionally said it perfectly, that Martin's either, if you get it, you get it, if not...
Yeah, he's not going to, and again, it's already a kid's book.
Yeah.
Right? So he doesn't have to dumb it down more.
Right.
Not that the book is dumbed down, but he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to pander. He doesn't want to talk down. He doesn't want to, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there are kids movies out there that are just terrible because
Tom and Jerry is an example.
Okay, there you go. I didn't say it, but there you go. And so the fact that he is maintaining this level of artistry and this level of
almost maturity.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great word, and something I should have said. This level of maturity in a movie, technically for children.
Yeah, but
it really also isn't for children. We watched and we enjoyed it. So
no, yeah, it just. I think what it is just that what's so fascinating is you would never, Martin Scorsese is not synonymous with family-friendly films.
No.
And then the fact that, and then this is his only PG movie.
Age of Innocence might also be.
It's PG-13.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
That's on my Criterion wish list.
Oh, okay.
I'll find out later.
Thank you.
But it's just, it's a great movie. I do want to read the book.
Oh,
or maybe, I don't know.
I have no intention of doing that.
I may read it. I don't know. I haven't decided.
I do want to, let's wrap up with the final montage. So
yes,
because what Scorsese does is so wonderful that as George Méliès is introducing, right, what they're about to see, he puts on the top hat
and the cigarette
and ducks down, and we are into real footage. This is actual George Méliès films that we're watching, and he's wearing the top hat and he's got the cigarette in his mouth. It's a great transition. I was in awe about that.
I didn't care if we even saw like the audience watching it. I just thought it would, Martin would be playing the films for us, but we have those intercuts of the audience watching, and
right.
We should mention by this point in the film, Hugo has resparked George's purpose, and George working with Renee, they had tracked down at least 80 of his movies, at least what they say in the film. They tracked down 80 of his movies and are, I'm assuming, working on restoring them is what they imply, I guess. And then we get this beautiful montage of all his films of course, I don't know any of the titles, and then it ends with A Trip to the Moon, which, like we mentioned, is that film in and of itself is sort of a character, because it comes up, the automaton draws it, which, the automaton, almost like a music box, was already set to draw that. So once they got it working, it was always going to draw that. Hugo's father had seen it. Yeah. And that's the film we see when Renee says, we only one film that we know of survived. And it's a good way to kind of bookend, the movie with this montage, and then the montage itself ending with a trip to the moon.
Yeah.
A great kind of bookend to this story of adventure and self-worth and purpose, pretty much, and then of course we get that kind of cathartic ending where everyone's happy now. George has become the newest faculty of the film academy. I would assume they have adopted Hugo
in a roundabout way, probably.
Yeah. Sacha Baron Cohen, the train inspector, now has a new brace for his leg, and he's happier now.
And he's with Emily Mortimer's character.
Yeah. Hugo
is learning magic from George, because
some dope ass close-up magic.
Yeah, some really good sleight of hand. Yeah.
I would say the only person in the film who doesn't have a cathartic ending, really, is Chloe Grace Moretz's character, Isabel.
You would think that maybe her catharsis comes from
helping her godfather.
Yeah, his happiness is reignited, and that's really all she wants.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that she now probably gets to go see movies, because, as she mentioned, makes a big deal about how she's never even seen a movie, because her godparents won't take her, which of course we find out why.
Right.
But yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah.
Martin just does a lot of great camera work. Yeah, I don't know. I may read the book. I don't know.
If you do, let me know, because I'm not going to read it, so I'll just let you tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Are you ready to wrap up?
Yes, sir. Again, great film from a great filmmaker that obviously I love a whole bunch. We did a whole series on him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I mean, it's dope to see a filmmaker bring film history to a very wide audience.
Right. And that's another reason why I wanted to talk about it. Like, Ashley was like, why'd you pick this movie? And I was like, well, I didn't necessarily pick it because I probably would have just had a normal conversation with you, on the fly about it. But like, I wanted to talk about how this film presents film history and, through this fictional lens of this little boy, and how one of the most prolific film creators of the 1900s, as you said, needed an apology and needed to be paid respect.
Yeah.
Correctly, even if it was through fiction.
Right.
And I feel like Martin and even the author of the book did that perfectly.
I agree. And even as they are rediscovering film history for them, technically the film takes place in 1931. So to us, they're seeing what we would be considering film history, and it's the same year M came out. And so like for me, it was like, oh, this is film history.
Right.
Their present is
it's film canon.
Boom.
So Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
What are we talking about next week?
Next week, I gave you two choices, and you picked the early one and the shorter one. So good job.
Yes, because I have already watched this director's 3 hour long.
3 hour and some.
It's like 3.5, right?
Yeah, it's long.
3.5 hour long epic. And as I've told you, I'm interested to see more of his stuff, and we may even do that film later on. I may pick it.
Okay, cool.
Maybe not this season.
That'd be really great. So not necessarily a downer, but it is an interesting look at what is truth and what is lies. And this is Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon. And you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I mean,
did we pick the Criterion?
Do you want me to put? Do you want me to?
That'd be cool. Yeah. That poster is really cool. So.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So I had watched everyone listening and watching. I had watched Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, which is widely considered
amazing.
One of the, I think it's amazing, and it's inspired filmmakers like George Lucas, Peter Jackson, in terms of scale and storytelling and battle sequences. The film has been reworked and retooled so many times. In terms of Americanizing it, we have the original, The Magnificent Seven, which is this.
Right.
And so I'm interested to see. Now, I'm assuming Rashomon came out before this.
Before
Seven Samurai.
Yes. So Rashomon's 1950. I think
it's 54.
Okay. So yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Look.
Rashomon's 1950. That I remember.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
As I told you after I watched Seven Samurai, I wanted to see more of Akira's work, and so now I have 3 of his films. High and Low, of course, being your second choice for me.
High and Low, man.
Which I will watch that too.
So good. So good. But
yeah, man.
Rashomon's fine because I just recently watched High and Low on my own, just at my house. So it'll give me a break from High and Low, and then I'll do Rashomon, and we'll do that one later.
Nice. All right, everyone. Well, we hoped you enjoyed Hugo. Definitely check out A Trip to the Moon. Like we said, it's less than 15 minutes. You can find it on YouTube or buy it on iTunes for like $3, or you just want to pull a Jeremy, go buy the Blu-ray.
I bought the Blu-ray.
So we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week for Rashomon.